Welcome back to Machina Zone, the place where history, industry, and engineering come alive. Here, we take you inside the hidden world of machines, mills, and workshops that have powered America for over a century. The lumber industry has always stood at the heart of America's growth. From the frontier towns of the 1800s to the massive building booms of the 20th century, timber has built our homes, our bridges, and even our ships. It's more than wood. It's the backbone of everyday life, shaping the very character of our nation. Today we journey to one of the last great steam-powered sawmills in America, a place where tradition still roars with the sound of iron, steam, and saw blades. This is Hull Oaks Lumber, a living time machine where the past meets the present. And to understand its story, we begin not inside the mill but deep in the forest, where every log begins its journey. Every log's journey begins with the combined strength of man and machine. In the forest, you see the loggers, men with sharp chainsaws and steady hands, carefully choosing which trees to bring down. It's a balance of precision and raw power. One wrong cut could mean a dangerous fall, but with skill, the tree is guided safely to the ground, shaking the earth as it lands. Once the tree is down, the work shifts to machinery. Giant mechanical harvesters strip branches and cut trunks into sections. In earlier times, this was all done by hand, with axes and cross-cut saws. But with machines, the process became faster and safer, though the human touch, the eye of the experienced logger, still guides every step. The next stage is loading. Towering log loaders with long hydraulic arms lift the massive trunks and place them neatly onto trucks. Each load is carefully balanced, chained down, and prepared for the bumpy ride out of the woods. For decades, this was the critical link, trucks bridging the distance between remote forests and the rivers that would carry the logs further. Driving those trucks was no small task. Roads carved into hillsides were narrow and slippery, often nothing more than dirt paths winding through steep terrain. Drivers had to be part trucker, part daredevil, guiding heavy loads of timber down to the valleys. The engines groaned, the brakes smoked, but the timber always reached its destination, the riverbanks. And here, the story shifts from machine to nature. At the river's edge, the logs are rolled off trucks and pushed into the water, where they begin to float. Slowly, dozens become hundreds, and soon the entire river surface transforms into a highway of timber. This was the genius of the old lumber trade, using the natural flow of rivers to move what no machine could carry so efficiently. Trucks and tractors could bring logs only so far, but water carried them effortlessly for miles. Floating timber meant less fuel, less strain, and a spectacle unlike anything else in American industry. In the end, every roaring chainsaw, every grinding tractor, and every struggling truck led to this timeless image: a river filled with wood, drifting downstream like a living memory of the forests above. These logs, after their long ride from forest to river, would eventually find their way to mills like Hull Oaks, and inside the sawmill, their true transformation would begin, from rough, heavy timber into the beams, planks, and boards that built America. When the trucks arrive at Hull Oaks, the journey of the timber is only halfway complete. The forest has given its gift, and now the mill must transform it. Towering logs, some up to 85 feet long, roll down onto the log deck, a staging area where nature's giants are lined up like soldiers waiting for duty. The sight alone is breathtaking. These are not small timbers meant for firewood. They are massive Douglas firs, redwoods, and hemlocks, some as wide as a man is tall. In the early days, America needed beams of this size for bridges, ships, and factories. Even today, Hull Oaks is one of the few places in the country capable of cutting such giants. Before a log can be sawn into lumber, it must be stripped of its bark. Bark may look harmless, but it's filled with grit, stones, and dirt that can dull or even destroy saw blades. The log passes into the debarker, a massive rotating machine fitted with hardened steel teeth. As the log spins, the teeth grind and scrape away the outer shell, peeling off decades of rugged bark in a matter of seconds. What once took men hours with axes and draw knives is now accomplished by roaring steel. The bark isn't wasted. Much of it is collected and burned as fuel to feed the boilers, which in turn generate the steam that powers this historic mill. In this way, Hull Oaks embodies an older philosophy. Nothing from the tree should go unused. Even the roughest outer layer has a purpose. Now comes the most iconic moment in any sawmill, the log's first cut. At Hull Oaks, this begins with the head rig, a massive steam-powered bandsaw paired with a log carriage. The carriage itself is a marvel, a steel platform mounted on heavy tracks, designed to clamp and carry the log forward, inch by inch, through the roaring blade. Imagine standing beside it. The log, weighing several tons, is chained and secured. With a hiss of steam, the carriage jolts forward. The bandsaw blade, a continuous loop of steel teeth taller than a man, begins to sing, and then, with a deep, resonant roar, the teeth bite into the wood. This is the first transformation. A round, natural form becomes a squared-off cant, ready for further cutting. The sawyer, an experienced craftsman, controls every move with precision levers. One wrong adjustment could waste valuable timber, but a skilled hand coaxes the best yield from each log. For over a century, this process has barely changed. Steam, steel, and human skill combine to slice nature into the building blocks of civilization. Once the log has been broken down into large slabs, it moves to the resaw and gang saws. The resaw is another bandsaw, smaller than the head rig but just as vital. Here, cants are sliced again into boards of various thickness. Then comes the gang saw, a machine that looks like a wall of teeth. Multiple blades, set side by side, cut through the cant at once. Instead of one board at a time, the gang saw can produce several, dramatically increasing efficiency. But speed is only part of the story. Each cut must still respect the grain of the wood, the natural lines formed over decades of growth. A skilled operator knows when to adjust, ensuring that every board is strong, straight, and free of defects. In this way, the lumberman works not against the tree, but with it. With boards now trimmed and edged, they move along conveyors to sorting tables. Here, graders, experienced men with sharp eyes, inspect every piece. They classify lumber by strength, appearance, and size. In the past, this was all done by hand, and even today, human skill remains essential. A machine can measure dimensions, but only a person can truly see the character of wood, the tightness of the grain, the presence of knots, the straightness of the fibers. Lumber is sorted into piles, structural beams, boards for planks, or specialty pieces destined for unique projects. It's a quiet but important moment, where wood is matched with its future role. Fibers. Freshly sawn lumber is heavy with moisture. If used immediately, it would warp, crack, or shrink. So the next stage is drying. At hull oaks, lumber is stacked in long rows, with small spacers called stickers placed between each board. These allow air to flow freely, slowly drying the wood over weeks or months. For certain products, the mill also uses kilns, massive heated chambers where temperature and airflow are controlled. Kiln drying accelerates the process, ensuring that wood reaches the precise moisture content required for construction. The drying stage may lack the drama of roaring saws, but it is just as critical. Properly dried lumber lasts for generations. Poorly dried lumber fails within years. The patience invested here is the foundation of quality. Once dried, boards still carry rough saw marks. To become usable, they pass through the planer, a machine fitted with rotating knives that shave wood smooth and bring it to exact dimensions. Here, the lumber truly takes its final form, planks with straight edges, smooth surfaces, and consistent thickness. The rough character of the forest is replaced by precision, ready to become part of homes, bridges, or ships. Watching the planer at work is almost magical. Rough boards enter one side, finished lumber slides out the other, neat, uniform, and shining with grain. This is the moment where timber ceases to be just wood. It becomes a building material. Hull Oaks is not just any mill. It is one of the few left in America capable of producing massive timbers for special uses. They cut beams for bridges, stringers for trestles, and even replacement parts for historic wooden ships. One famous order was for the restoration of the schooner C.A. Thayer, a century-old vessel that required beams longer and thicker than almost any modern mill could provide. These specialty cuts remind us of why mills like Hull Oaks matter. They are not only producers of lumber, but guardians of tradition, preserving skills and capabilities that might otherwise vanish. Perhaps the most remarkable thing about Hull Oaks is not just what it cuts, but how it runs. While most modern mills rely on electricity and automation, Hull Oaks still hums with the heartbeat of steam. Massive boilers, fed with bark and sawdust, produce clouds of vapor that drive pistons and turn great steel wheels. Belts and pulleys transfer this power to the saws, carriages, and conveyors. It is a living museum, but not frozen in time. This mill still works, still produces, still serves. Standing inside, you feel not only the heat and roar of machinery, but also the presence of history. Every hiss of steam is a reminder of the industrial age, when America built itself on sweat, steel, and ingenuity. Hull Oaks lumber is more than a sawmill. It is a symbol of endurance, of tradition, and of the timeless partnership between human hands and mechanical power. While Hull Oaks represents the living past, UK Mega shows us the modern face of lumber production. Here, tradition meets technology on a scale designed for today's global demand. From the moment logs arrive at UK Mega's gates, the entire process is built around precision, efficiency, and volume. Unlike the slower, steam-powered rhythm of Hull Oaks, this facility hums with automation, computers, and conveyor belts. It is the same story, transforming trees into lumber, but told with the language of the 21st century. In this mill, nothing is left to chance. Every log is measured, scanned, and cataloged before it ever touches a blade. Where once a sawyer's trained eye made the decisions, now lasers and sensors guide the cuts. Yet at the core, the purpose remains the same: to unlock the value hidden in each tree and turn it into something that will build lives, homes, and cities. Massive circular saws, spinning at incredible speed, slice the logs into workable cants, large squared blocks of wood. This is where the raw, natural shape of the log is broken down into something usable. Automated carriages push the logs forward, guided by sensors that calculate the most efficient cut. Unlike the steam-powered carriages of Hull Oaks, these machines can adjust instantly, maximizing yield and reducing waste. The roar of these saws is deafening, but also thrilling. Every second, another log is transformed, its future use decided in a fraction of a moment by computer algorithms and sharp steel. From cants, the lumber enters the precision cutting stage. Here, gang saws and CNC-guided systems take over. CNC, computer numerical control, is the same technology that guides airplanes and modern factories. In lumber production, it means each cut is optimized not only for size, but also for quality. The machines calculate which pieces will become high-grade boards, which will become structural beams, and which will be trimmed into smaller parts. The boards glide through lasers and sensors, each movement tracked in real time. It is a dance of wood and machine, faster and more accurate than any human could achieve. Where Hull Oaks relies on experience and the steady hand of a sawyer, UK Mega relies on data, thousands of calculations every second, ensuring the best outcome. Lumber enters the planing stage. High-speed machines shave rough boards into smooth, uniform planks. The change is dramatic. Rough, jagged edges become sleek surfaces, ready for builders and carpenters. But UK Mega goes further. Beyond simple boards, it produces engineered wood products, laminated beams, plywood panels, and particle board. In these processes, Smaller pieces of wood are glued, pressed, and bonded together under heat and pressure. This is modern lumber's secret weapon. By combining many smaller parts, mills can create beams longer and stronger than natural trees, sheets wider than any log, and materials tailored for strength or flexibility. It is a different philosophy from hull oaks, but equally important, where one mill preserves the past, the other invents the future. And so, in hull oaks we saw history preserved. The roar of steam, the skill of sawyers, and the slow, careful process of cutting giants into beams. In UK Mega, we see the future computers, automation, and engineered products that push beyond the limits of nature. Both tell the same story, humanity's partnership with wood. One reminds us of where we came from. The other shows us where we are going. Together, they reveal the timeless importance of timber, a resource that has shaped our homes, our ships, our bridges, and our lives. This is the world of lumber, from steam to silicon, from the forest floor to the modern factory. And it is a story that continues, as long as trees grow and people build.